Well, hello there, and welcome to a video out in the garage today. We're going to be quick on this one because my power supply apparently does not have enough oomph, so we're going to see how it goes and go from there. So I'm on my ThinkPad workstation today out in the glorious garage shop, and we're going to talk about virtual machines because sometimes you need some way to use software. I do use this piece of software called Bottles. Thank you for advertising. Thanks. Oh god, it needs updated. Sure. As an example, I have this piece of software called Google SketchUp. Well, it's Trimble SketchUp now, but used to be a piece of software I use. It does work. Online, sort of. We'll get into that. But it's not perfect. And as a result, I need to be able to set up software. Okay, so there's the software off my NAS. I forgot to grab it. And you can see I've got SketchUp, I've got the redistributable, and the .NET 4.5.2. These are things that it needs to run. However, if I didn't have that, Bottles does have a neat functionality called Eagle. You can say Analyze, and I can say, here's my system file. Take a look at it. And it will tell me dependencies and such that I will need in order to install that app. It should also prompt to technical analysis, get to that .NET framework, Windows NT4. Yep, this all looks good. Add and launch program. And then, as you can see, the make installer will run. Wine is not a perfect solution, though, and what I found with SketchUp in particular, it kind of works, kind of doesn't. I'll go ahead and install. And we'll just go ahead and say, yep. It'll install pretty quickly and get it done. And okay, there we go, SketchUp. You'll get your license agreement. And I always choose the simple template because I'm a pleb. And here you go. It is working more or less, and it looks like it's behaving itself today. Normally, you can kind of, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but like some of the menus are a little janky. It sort of works. Performance is reasonable, but you could probably see I'm dropping frames. It's not ideal, but it works. Yeah, and you can see there's like glitching over here and whatnot. It's not perfect. So I've got one of my models up here. This is from a sci-fi that I've been kind of involved in for a long time. And this is the software I wrote it in back in high school, or at least did all the modeling and stuff in. Some of these come from different games we've exported STLs from and whatnot. But anyway, it's kind of messy. And performance here is pretty good. It runs pretty decent. And generally, I can get by with this. It's a little unstable. It'll crash at times, but it's okay. However, that's not always the case. And I don't know if anybody saw, but navigating the wine config menu without having DPI set is really tiny, even on this display. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So the alternative would be a virtual machine, some kind of virtual machine manager. Now, I have a production Windows 11 VM here that I will just go ahead and fire up because, well, I need to do this before my battery dies. We got about 20 minutes. And we'll just go ahead and full screen it. This generally runs okay. It might lag a little bit here because we're on battery, but I'm hoping it will come across okay, especially once the Spice drivers loads. And this is what I'm now using. Oh my gosh, okay. So generally, this is the Windows 11 VM that I use. Now, pre-installed on this VM, I do have SolidWorks because I am a guy who does SolidWorks things. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I do have a part on my 3D printer. I'll include some screenshots if I can, that generally I'm currently using to print a support bracket, fix some stuff I broke. Anyway, you can come in here and I can have SketchUp in here. It's in a full Windows environment. It will operate exactly as it would with Windows. I can see the recording having a little struggle bus here. Sorry. And yeah, and generally the performance is reasonable in here. Again, it's still software GL, but when I open an open dialog here, it's just Windows at this point versus trying to navigate through a really clunky interface. And here's another ship from that same pack. Performance is quite reasonable. This is a little more detailed of a model, so there's a little bit of screen tearing involved with the VM, but it does a pretty good job. That's why I said you got to take this for what it is. It performs pretty reasonable in a VM, and then you can still use your software in a full Windows environment. But that's just an example of a piece of software that I use. Obviously, I also have other pieces of software. You know, one of the other ones I got going here. Let me see if my machine will fire up real quick. Windows 7. I keep this machine around for, you know, error appropriate software. The big one on here is I have a copy of licensed Windows or Office 2010. And I know it's weird, but to me, this is a copy of Office that I've owned it for a long time. Now I have a copy that I can have in a VM if I need it. Just pull that VM open the document up, and there you go. Generally, don't need it. Anyway, it's kind of a neat thing. Probably kind of lame for a lot of people that I have these VMs, but I do. If you were to set this up yourself, though, you're going to want to go into the software manager. And you want to install the application called Virt Manager. And spell it correctly. This guy right here. You'll install that, and you should install it as a native package if you are doing it. There is a flat pack available if I remember right. I'll have my own rant video about multiple package formats. Do the native on this one. It's older, but it's native to the system. It works better. And once that's installed, you may have to set permissions. It'll prompt you. When it pulls up, it'll say, hey, I don't have search permissions. Do you want to fix that? Or hey, do you want to start the network? Sure. And all you're going to do with this. Now, there's a couple things that I do different than most people. I think it's why I've had a good experience this time around versus the last time I did Virt Manager. So I will, in this case, do from a local ISO. And I have these pools right here. Where these are at in my system are in my home folder VMs. And I have access to those. And so I want an ISO. We're going to use Windows 10 in this case. You always have to specify here what you are setting up. And we'll do 8196 with 4 cores. You'll want to divide your memory up correctly. If you don't know how to divide it up, I suggest getting a calculator and doing 1024 times however many gigabytes of RAM you want, because that will convert it to gigabytes, which is what this is basically asking for. I mean, you could put 8,000 in there and it'd be close enough, but still. And so if you times that by 8, it's 8192. I just happen to know 8192 off the top of my head. You don't have to remember that. Now, when it says create a storage space for this, you're going to select here the select or manage custom. Trust me, this is the good part. Manage. Now you can add a pool if you want to. Here I have one called pool. That's my main SSD drive where I want my VMs all stored because I back them up to my NAS. You're going to say new, and this is Windows 10, so I want a Windows 10, and we want 64 gigs. This VM's getting trashed immediately, but I'll just do it. Don't allocate entire volume now unless you just really want to. Finish, it'll generate it, and then boom, here's your Windows 10. You'll choose volume, forward. You can customize before install. I actually recommend using the defaults they give you. It gives you the QXL drivers and everything. And finish. And now we have a virtual machine. And I hate that it's stuttering when I'm recording, but when I'm not recording, it's fine. This is a good laptop. And then from here, it's just next, install now. Not a big deal. There is a chance with some Windows 10s that you may not have drivers. So I'm going to say don't have product key. We'll see if I have the issue. We'll do IoT. Custom. Okay, so we do. If you didn't hear, you would go and grab, there is an ISO. Go to my home, VMs, ISOs, VirtIO Win CD that would have those drivers. But this one didn't need the drivers. So say next. And there you go. Windows 10 is installing. Once it is done installing, you will insert that that image, this thing right here. Now, where did I get this thing? And I believe the AI is right here. Got to make sure I'm not a bot. And then here you go. So then you'll go to this 2025, which is 0.1.285. Interesting. Mine's actually outdated. Good news is we are downloading those. And you'll download those drivers. That way, when the VM is ready, you'll be able to insert those drivers. You can do it from within the Windows VM, but just so you know. So we got the virtual machine. This open. There's my Virt Manager, and then I believe it's Win Guest Tools. That way it'll launch the correct drivers and everything, and then we'll all... And there you go. And then if I go to Device Manager, it should say we have a QXL video driver. Yep, Red Hat QXL controller. That's your video card. Now, how do you get files in here? Well, you could make an image every single time, or once you have the Spice drivers installed, you just drag and drop to the desktop. It's the same with files and whatnot too. If you have another extra package installed, which you can search online for, you can even do shared drives. So now I can say, yep, I want to install my SketchUp software. If I were doing anything of any real importance. Yes, so hardware acceleration has been unsupported or disabled for your graphics card. So you can run into that. Now, one of the ways I've been getting around some of these OpenGL errors, because Virt Manager is not perfect. VirtualBox and Broadcom's VMware can get around this issue. So if I do Mesa 3D for Windows, yep, this is what I'm talking about. Mesa 3D for Windows is a really nice shortcut to be able to... So the way this works is you take this file and you go to the application you want and say open file location. And I believe you just paste it in here. And then you'll note it runs because it'll use the Mesa libraries instead of the system libraries. And then you have, albeit not great, some amount of software graphics performance. And then, of course, if I didn't want that VM anymore, I can just right-click on it, say delete, and delete. And it's gone. I will say what is nice, if you back up those QCOW2 files that we saw in my VMs folder here, you can say import existing disk image and then just point it at those things and it'll work. That's how I actually bring them from machine to machine. And then I just reset up the basic settings and whatnot. For me, this is enough. This gets me the software I need. I'm going to test it with my wife because she has to do Cricut as one of her software choices. And that's its own pain in the butt end. But being able to give her the option to fire up a virtual machine, because one of the cool things you can do, if I go into information here, you can add hardware. Now, why is this cool? First of all, we have USB redirection. We also have USB host device. So I can choose to pass directly through to the VM a host device. So for her Cricut, I can pass through a USB connection directly to the virtual machine, and then when the Cricut machine goes to communicate with it, it's as if it's plugged into this machine natively. Pretty cool stuff. I look forward to looking into that and how that works and how well it works, because that needs to be something that does just work for my wife and no questions asked. So again, this video is kind of a rambly mess. Sorry about that. We'll put a better one together next time, and I hope you enjoyed. Cheers.